Right now, there's a structural realignment happening underneath the digital economy, and most people don't understand it. It's not a race for oil, it's not a race for land. It's a coordination challenge around electricity. Artificial intelligence, data centers, and nonstop digital infrastructure are demanding more power than the grid was originally sequenced to provide. This isn't just tech expansion, it's an infrastructure alignment moment. The question is, who coordinates generation, transmission, and capital deployment effectively enough to support sustained growth? Welcome back to the New Financial World Powering Tomorrow podcast. I'm your host, Zakir, and I appreciate each and every one of you joining me again for another one of our episodes. Today, we're breaking down what's actually happening beneath the headlines. Not hype about demand, not excitement about capital, but structural coordination challenge emerging between digital systems and physical infrastructure. This show is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Nothing you hear should be considered financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. Always do your own research and always consider consulting a licensed professional before making decisions. All viewpoints are of my own and are not of any employer or organization. Now, let's get to it. The fuse for this alignment challenge is artificial intelligence. Generative AI is not lightweight computing. It requires massive clusters of GPUs running 24 hours a day, consuming enormous amounts of electricity. Hyperscalers like Microsoft, Meta, Google, and Amazon are committing hundreds of billions of dollars towards AI-specific data centers. Across 2025 and 2026, combined spending is projected in the hundreds of billions, driving the build-out of more than 550 U.S. data center projects and roughly 90 gigawatts of new power demand. That scale matters, but what matters more is the nature of the demand. This isn't incremental growth. It's structural load shock, and structural shocks require coordinated responses, not reactive ones. Digital demand has changed the rhythm of infrastructure. Generation timelines, transmission buildouts, and permitting cycles were not designed for this tempo. Digital systems scale in months. Physical infrastructure scales in years. That gap is the story. Electricity consumption from data centers could double by 2030, potentially reaching up to 12% of the U.S. electricity demand. AI isn't just another customer on the grid. It is alternating load profiles in ways the system was not originally designed to absorb. So, if infrastructural load shock defines the challenge, the next question is, how is capital adapting to this new rhythm? Capital is positioning. Utilities, hyperscalers, and infrastructure funds are moving early, not because of excitement, but because capacity must be secured in advance. In the United States alone, electricity utilities are planning over $200 billion in upgrades, transmission expansion, and new generation. Tens of gigawatts of new capacity have come online, much of it in renewables and storage aligned with digital demand. But capital alone doesn't solve sequencing. Financing generation without transmission doesn't deliver electrons. Building transmission without firm capacity doesn't deliver reliability. Storage without predictable supply don't stabilize the system. This build-out requires alignment across layers, not isolated investment. Through long-term power purchase agreements, structured capacity contracts, nuclear restarts, and renewable plus storage deployments, major firms are locking in electrons years in advance. These aren't speculative bets, they're coordinated capacity strategies. Electricity is no longer treated as a variable cost. It is being treated as strategic capacity. Now, here's something that doesn't always get said. This build-out isn't a technology challenge. It's a coordinated challenge. Turbines exist, solar exists, storage exists. What determines outcomes is sequencing. A single hyperscale AI facility can now require more than an entire mid-sized city, and yet it can be approved faster than transmission infrastructure required to reliably serve it. That's the sequencing gap. The technology scales faster than the wires. In some regions, projects wait 7 to 10 years just to connect to the grid. Every year of delay widens the gap between digital ambition and physical capacity. AI data centers do not pause for permitting reform. They don't slow down because transmission is congested. They require firm, continuous power, not out of preference, out of necessity. One sector encountered this constraint earlier: crypto. Not as hype, not as speculation, as structural power demand. Crypto mining responded to electricity pricing signals and grid constraints before AI clusters scaled to current levels. The lesson wasn't about digital assets, it was about infrastructure limits. Digital systems do not float in the cloud, they anchor to electrons. Crypto exposed the constraint early. AI isn't amplifying it, the structural lesson is the same. The deeper shift isn't about AI alone. It's about how digital ambition must now align with physical systems. Electricity, capital, digital infrastructure. When those layers coordinate, growth becomes durable. When they don't, friction compounds. The regions that succeed won't be the ones that move fastest in isolation. They will be the ones that sequence infrastructure layers correctly. Generation, transmission, storage, capital, regulation. Coordination is the differentiator. AI isn't just software, it's load, it's infrastructure, it's physical capacity expressed through silicon and steel. Growth from here won't be determined by hype, it will be determined by coordination. This is the New Financial World Powering Tomorrow podcast. I want you guys to learn, adapt, and prosper. And as always, stay energized.